In this video, we're going to go over how to use a class to identify the return type of a method and the parameters necessary when you call that method. So you can see we have our person class here. Again, we have our variables that are the attributes for each person. We have our two constructors, so our constructor is overloaded. And then we have a set name method. In this, the return type is void, meaning it's not actually going to return a value. So void means the method doesn't return a value, it just performs some action and then it's done. And then we can see that our parameter is a single string. So whenever we call set name, we have to make sure to pass either a string variable or a string literal. Our next method, the return type is string. So it has to return a string. The name of the method is getName, and it doesn't have any parameters. Similarly, getBirthDate has a return type of string, so it's going to return a value whenever you call it, and the value is going to be a string, and it doesn't have parameters. So we're going to see examples of how to call these methods, starting with our set name. So remember, set name is void, it's not going to return a value, but we have to pass it a string as a parameter. So in main, we first create our person. We can't call any of these methods until we've created a person object. Then we are going to call the p.getName. So this is just calling the getName method, and it prints out Jane since that's the name that we gave our object p. Then we call p.setName. So we're passing it the string literal Alexis. So Alexis gets copied and pasted into this new name parameter. So now new name is a reference to the string Alexis. Then this line of code, name gets new name, sets our name attribute variable to be the reference to the string Alexis. And remember, name was created up here. It's one of the attributes that every person has. And then their method is done. It's not returning a value because it's a void method. So back in main, you can see we aren't setting a variable equal to the result of this. We can't do that when we have a void method. So we just call it. We know that the name gets changed, and that's the end of this line. And then the next time we call p.getName, we again aren't passing parameters, but it's going to return a new value this time. It's going to be different than when we called p.getName the first time. So if we look back at getName, it's returning a string. That's why we can put the method call in the println method, because that string that this method returns can be printed out. And again, we don't have parameters for getName. So it's returning the name attribute of our person object, and this time it's Alexis. So you can see over here, the first time we called getName, it returned Jane, and the second time it returned Alexis. So you know the return type by the word that comes before the method name. So for set name, that's void. For getName, it's string. For getBirthDate, it's string. And you know the type of parameters and the number of parameters by looking in the parentheses after the name of the method.